All right, Master Mason note coming at you here. I know we've been working on that EPR paradox here lately. I have to. This is hubbing out and actually turning out to be a big cutter. For the same reason, it's an exercise in futility, or not futility. An exercise in repetition or whatever. As you can hopefully see us going back in the mill. I know I used to do it in the old mills, but hopefully now you're getting a really good picture of it. It's like, this is an Epson sphere, this is an air turbulence equation, this is all those things, because essentially, in one hand, you have the EPR paradox, which is a horizon, what's going on under the accretion disk and the black hole bits. And over here, you have an air turbulence equation, which is essentially the stone mill. But if you look at the spectrums that go into a sun, and it's very known, we understand it, there it is, you can see it, there's a body moving around it, stuff. Because of that, tides would correlate to a triangulation. All right, and that calcs off. And that calc bit is actually what quantum mechanics is. And let me rephrase that. That there's a tax bracket. That I know that a 5-minute burn is a 24-inch wide, 7-foot rock that's 2 inches. That's burn it, get it to the table, let it run down the rail before I start spraying off and doing my next set. So essentially, using that constant, now we're going to say the burn in the rock is this. Just that's a 3-minute operation. But the 5-minute operation is, they're all general relativity sets. It takes 5 minutes here, or 3 minutes here, 2 minutes to air crane it, and essentially a minute to get everything going. So it's a 6-minute process. And there's 3 systems in there, as you can tell. And by the end of them, the EP special relativity is going to go to the full state. That full reciprocal, that full 1, 0 to 1, or 0 to 1, or 0 to 0, 1, 0, 1 that correlates to 1 is the paradox. See, because you're looking at something in the stone mill and saying, I know that rational number. That value on the stone mill floor to me doing this job every day from where I was originally on my first day to knowing burn to then offsetting those other skills as a manager or something, because essentially this is an epsilon sphere. Really, there's no difference. And fundamentally, I have to burn rock. That's the rookie's position. So to you, you may not notice. So a week with experience thermaling and me, given the right person, you might not be able to tell the difference in the rock as it's positioned there, finished, or just as you're looking at 2 masons side by side burning from one another. So the question becomes, what is that EPR paradox? So often, a lot of times what I get is in the stone mill. And there's a relative physics notes that a lot of people get. And people get this wrong with me a bunch. And I mean that well, at least somewhere I'm in the comfortable medium of what this is. But what I'm trying to explain to you is, a lot of times it's like, well, we can do things in the stone mill. We can say at this time we can have a safety meeting and begin to bring up those paradoxes and those systems to gauge a gauge boson for essentially your intelligence. I need something to generalize this, and what essentially that is not a trick question that it has to be this test and what the answer is, but my recognition, or my ability to recognize that system in you. See, I don't care. I'll mass out anything. I'll mass out everything around you in an air turbulence equation, bring up paperwork and make you just do that. Well, what's the turbulent flow around that tree over there? Start generalizing that for me and tell me, well, that's the flow dynamic. You get a good breeze through here +1 comparatively to somewhere else. And that might be the general right answer. That is that kind of thinking about, well, here's those general numbers. Here's air turbulence, flow dynamics, the scattering aspect of a wave function, that any one of those will fit simultaneous. Now, which one of those in the NP-MP problem force you to learn it or expect the universe to get you there, which it might, but only if the topography is correct for that. It's like, on the mountain it's going to hurt. Your resources are thin, your timeline that, unless you're totally camped on that, where simultaneous position and relativity are going to matter. So again, a lot of times but one of those things, just can you show? It's like I'd love to, and I'd be happy to, and definitely I can. But again, I need that gauge boson. I need a thermaler's position, and then we're just going to nut and bolt those things, because eventually, by mass gravity, I know 100% you know the test. And by virtue, everything that should have happened on the floor should dry up. But that's why you need that test, that mass gap. And invertly, I can't quantify that that's going to make you the same person as me, to the free will paradox. You might have a home life where the triple point says how you act, your, that smart ass kind of thing, but that's the right move, and I wouldn't change that for anything. And so from my horizon and momenta and inertia going into those things, you have to be really careful about the mindset, because it is a quantum object. In its state, any of these guys, myself including, anybody, or that tree that's half dead over there, is within the margins of almost. I can't determine what'll fall away. Hawking saying we can't. From all of this over here, really super generalized, I need players in there to determine what those real numbers are. And that's what does that over time. But again, that's not... If your topography is not correct, like that stone mill, it could be a great job. But for women reasons, or how far you have to travel, it's just not the right answer. And so benevolence on all sides, or that recognition, or how we're going to understand the EPR paradox in situations like that, is the physical thing. And then we can build tests off around that. It's like, well, brother, big brother, I'm sure I don't need to go saying too much about nothing, but realistically, honestly, I find it more than anything else, the answer I've come up with is direct physics. I don't know how many stone mills in the past. I don't know how many of those things. So we got to encourage the ability to ask that question, to have positive gain come from that, without it just being, well, here's a this, that, or that. You have to make those breaks. So we have to do that to tests and show them that, I'm not going to make guys do a bunch of SAT stuff. I'm going to do stuff that they already know, and I'm going to check that off the list, because I'm looking for 97. But when I hit the 95s and the 94s, how do then we correlate that to more information that does that? A lot of times it's not, it's this rookie that's trying to be the straight thermaler or something else, but the position is wrong, or the floor is wrong for it, and it actually winds up being, look, you got to actually train that guy. I know you'd love him to be the thermaler, but you got to train. The physics is saying that guy has to be that freehand, that mason's assistant, the master mason assistant. So you can be a master mason, but you have to be the assistant in that position, because there's difference. You hire me first day into there, and then 6 months, and then you hire somebody in next to that, which aren't those things. And essentially that's the EPR paradox. Einstein's general relativity, the Bluestone's special relativity that defines all the general numbers to how we output them. The truth of the matter is, all those other numbers will definitely 100% triangulate to this, and hopefully you've seen it as I'm smashing bunnies on the ground here. So that's my note to you guys. Direct physics. Don't be afraid to ask, say something. Things are going wrong on the floor. You see 24 is up, you got to follow that gut instinct. It's better to ask about those things than be piled by it later, caught in that Epstein sphere. Doing all that, not knowing what's going on or how to get your way out of it. Because stop right now. Stop, look, analyze, manage, stop, whatever it is you guys do. Catch you on the next one.